Hey everybody, we're here for a new episode of the show that is yet to be named. Today we're doing I don't know if I would even call this a review. It's spoiler talk for Spider-Man what's it called? Home Sweet Home Alone?
Not home right now, but we'll
Spider-Man
back to you later.
No Way Home, but he might be back later. Leave a message at the beep. Believe it or not.
Okay. Peter Parker's not home.
So we're just gonna let Putty
spoiler
talk,
by the way, spoiler alert.
Okay, spoiler alert. This is full spoilers. Putty, explain the movie.
Okay, we have Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker. He wants people to forget that he's Spider-Man, but then realizes in the middle of talking to a witch, apparently, because he saw a witch little thing. That was the weirdest thing. Anyway,
that was Dracula.
Dracula. Sorry, I was Dracula. I couldn't remember what the order was. Anyway, but he tampers with the spell because he keeps on changing his mind because he doesn't want certain people to forget, and it breaks the spell and brings in all the other universes of Spider-Man outside of Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. There you go.
All right. Well, that was really well said. Said no one ever.
Yeah. Right. I mean, again, if you don't know what,
the premise of the movie is Spider-Man wants everybody because it's ruining his life. Everybody's coming after him. They think he killed Mysterio. This takes place right after the events of Far From Home. Yep. Right? Like immediately after. So basically, his life is ruined. Everybody's after him. You're on either one side or the other. And he goes to Doctor Strange, hoping Doctor Strange can erase everybody's memory.
Now, my question is we're kind of telling people this, but I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be watching a spoiler review if they not already seen this and been aware of that. One thing is the biggest thing is the simple things like Easter eggs or things that people might not have noticed.
Oh, that's the Venkman. Nice.
Yes. But that's the major thing that I was doing when I was doing my video and stuff that I didn't point out that I found out from viewers that were saying, why didn't you point this out? And I'm like, well, clearly I would think myself.
Oh, it's my brother.
My point is, him. It's like things like, why didn't you point out the stuff from the Raimi movies or from the Amazing Spider-Man movies? I'm like, well, I feel like you should see those movies to really enjoy No Way Home, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I feel like No Way Home is not as good unless you've seen all the Spider-Man movies, which, by the way, think about it now. All Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and all those villains that are in there are now MCU movies, if you think about it, too. That means all the Raimi movies are now kind of MCU movies.
They're not MCU, but they're Sony canon.
Yeah, well,
they're Sony Universe canon. I wouldn't call them MCU. I think it was just a bit of a cameo, and I think it's more to give closure to Toby and Andrew.
Yeah. So this is where you get your closures is, okay? This is the payoffs. Tobey Maguire Spider-Man saves Green Goblin. That was his payoff. And he saves Dr. Octopus. That was his payoff. Andrew Garfield saved MJ from dying, and he never got to save Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
So
that's his redemption.
That was my moment of the movie where I couldn't believe that people weren't like bawling their eyes out because the time.
You didn't see me. I cried. I cried.
I'm going to say this. There were
when Andrew was crying, I cried. I got to admit to that.
There were moments in the theater where people were like that were applauding. The moments that applauded in my theater were Daredevil met Murdoch, both Spider-Mans appearing from with Ned when he did the magic, when they all came together as far as coming together and fighting, and that part where he saves MJ, everyone in the theater knew what he was referring to with the Gwen thing, and we start crying. Like when she's like, "Are you okay?" And he, of course, she's like, "Yeah, are you?" It's like, yeah. Everyone in the theater laughed. They knew what was going on. They realized what it was that he was redeeming himself.
Everybody laughed.
Well, no, they laughed away. No. They laughed because of how it's the whole thing.
This is Canada. People don't do that.
They didn't.
We did have two small reactions.
No, we had.
It wasn't like a horrible.
Andrew Garfield came through the portal, and
people clapped.
People went ooh, and then when Toby came, the whole theater started clapping. But that's the only.
Yeah, they did it with both. Yeah.
But nobody clapped for Andrew. They just all went, "Oh,
oh, really?" Yeah, no, they clapped in our theater.
Because, in all honesty, I was expecting Toby to be in first, not Andrew.
It was a double good reveal, except for the fact that Tobey Maguire looked 99 years old, and he had been smoking crack for the last 5 years.
The dude's my age, man. Like he's 46.
I know you can see the age. You can tell definitely tell in this the age on him.
He's
now,
saying you
for
look
sure.
old.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's okay. I am old. And
No,
Andrew Garfield's what? He's 40 as well, isn't he?
He's up there for sure. He's probably mid-30s. But I mean, Andrew Garfield. Okay, so we didn't really get to go into this. Like, there's so much stuff we just skipped over to get here.
Yeah.
But they got their payoffs, and Andrew Garfield acted circles around everybody for every moment that he was on screen. It was honestly ridiculous. But there was two Toby moments when he got stabbed and he was down.
I honestly thought they were going to kill him off.
It was so. I told you what my thought process was. So, but I thought that was him. He pulled Spider-Man that late 90s, early 2000s Spider-Man back so perfectly. I couldn't believe how perfectly he brought it back. And then the other moment was when he was explaining his Uncle Ben story. And those were the two things. But so my theory was, I'll just tell Putty, was, you know how Andrew Garfield saves Electro and he's like, I thought you were black. And he's like, there's got to be a black Spider-Man somewhere.
Yeah.
So my thought process was, after he gets stabbed, when they go back to their world, there's like a scene where it shows him and he's dead on the street and he's dying and he gets found by Miles Morales. And then he dies.
That's the catalyst.
And it would be the opening part of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is what happens, right? Spider-Man dies and he's there, and then they mourn Spider-Man. And that was like, that would have been a perfect moment to do it. Because you reintroduced the Raimi-verse. And obviously Tobey Maguire's not going to be in any more movies. If anything, we're going to get another Andrew Garfield if we get anything.
I can say, I was talking with a friend of mine, and there was a scene where how they were saying, you fought aliens? Yeah, you never fought aliens. So Andrew never fought an alien. So I think Andrew Garfield might end up in the Venom verse.
I think Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is in Tom Hardy's world.
Yes.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Because he's the only one that hasn't fought the symbiote yet, right? Yeah. So he wants to fight that alien. So
and now we all have the symbiote in the
Eddie
Tom
Brock
Holland version.
Would know who Peter Parker is. He wouldn't know that he's Spider-Man, but he would know who Peter Parker is, and that would explain why he's
because they worked at the Bugle together. Yeah.
Yep.
So also this was my point of going back to what JD said about how they're separating the Sony universe now from the Marvel universe. That Tom Hardy moment was a double payoff. It was to show us that now Venom exists in the MCU, and also that Tom Hardy Venom will never be in an MCU movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is what they also do. And I was telling somebody, because your brother actually was one that I had this conversation with, because he's like, well, what does that mean? I said, here's what they can do now. The whole thing with Eddie Brock was always messed up, especially with the Sam Raimi and Spider-Man 3. No one liked what they did there. And of course,
nobody likes Topher Grace.
Yeah. And then the one now, the Tom Holland one, they actually didn't have the black suit, but then they made Venom, and that screwed everything up. So now what they can do is there's probably an Eddie Brock in this world. You know what I mean? The MCU
there is
version.
That's what we were talking about. There is.
But and so what's happened now is he can get the symbiote, becomes black suit Spider-Man, and then do that. You know what I mean?
So listen, we together came up with a good theory. We put it together.
Flash Thompson,
Tony Revolori, Flash Thompson is going to get it, and he's going to fight Spider-Man. Spider-Man's not going to want to kill him. He's going to save him, and then S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to turn him into Agent Venom.
Makes sense, yeah.
Because that just kind of makes sense to me, because I can't see... Okay, obviously, Tom Holland is going to get the Venom at some point.
Yeah.
But
he'll have the black suit.
I think they're not going to Eddie Brock it. Just like the way that they never MJ'd it. They never real MJ'd it. They never real Gwen Stacy did.
It's a different universe, yeah.
Well, if that's true, then that's perfect.
And right now, it's the perfect catalyst for the symbiote to attach himself to Tom Holland, because Tom Holland is vulnerable as Spider-Man. Spoiler for the movie, but MJ dies in the movie. Or not MJ, sorry. Aunt May dies in the film. MJ dies, right?
You gave the spoiler.
Right? No.
I love how
Aunt May dies
when we're actually doing spoilers anyway.
No, but I mean, just in case.
But it's the wrong spoiler.
Right? Yeah. Aunt May dies in the movie, right?
And it was more impactful than anything that's happened in any Spider-Man movie, minus Gwen Stacy's death.
And see, here's another thing I want to bring up too. You talk about the Flash Thompson thing. Another thing they could do that can make sense is have Flash Thompson even possibly work for J. Jonah Jameson at the Daily Bugle, because it seems like his personality would work with J. Jonah Jameson.
But didn't Flash Thompson work at the Bugle too?
And that's my point. That's my point.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
happen.
So they could use that as a catalyst, like him mad at Parker. Because remember, Parker still kind of rejected him because he knows he's Spider-Man now.
Well, now because of the erasing, he's going to go back to treating him like shit.
Exactly. So which means there could be that conflict.
And let's say he got into MIT. Parker doesn't. Parker gets a job because he has no education.
Well, we don't know. We don't know because that could have been changed. Because remember, they actually
no. He would have mentioned it something to that in that final scene with MJ and Ned.
He puts down a box in his room that has a GED book in it because he never finishes his schooling and he goes through the GED to get it. This is what's going to happen. He's going to get a job at the Bugle as a photographer.
Freelance.
And then Thompson, coming out of college, is going to get a hotshot reporter gig, and he's going to treat Parker like shit the whole time that they're there. And that's like, I see that dynamic because you know where you see that dynamic in the cartoon where Flash Thompson is he treats Parker like crap the whole time,
like garbage. Yeah.
Now, there was a few things too that I want to bring about. I'm not ready to change the subject, but I do want to state because I do the reviews and I do things I find with the Easter eggs and everything. There was a few things I didn't know if you guys noticed. I want to get to those when we eventually get to it. So I want to make sure that we can eventually do backtrack, especially with like Green Goblin and little hints of things that happened that no one realized. And I'm hoping you guys did. Like, for example, his outfit and everything. You know what I mean? A lot of people didn't notice it, and I literally jotted it down right away. When you see him at the Feast homeless shelter with Aunt May, look at his outfit. No one really looked at the green and
How
purple.
Did nobody notice that? It's so noticeable.
For some reason, nobody else.
And he wears that for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, he wears that for the rest of the
movie.
But
the hood without a mask, the hood is more reminiscent of the comic book.
But then
Goblin.
But if you look when he starts getting ripped, remember the Goblin actually in the comic books had a ripped look at one point. That's literally what they did. He had the outfit under the whole time, so he was planning this with Aunt May. When he looked up Peter Parker and realized he was in another world, he was setting this up. You know what I mean? And so he used Aunt May as a catalyst for him to get to Peter Parker.
He literally explains this in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know, but my point is, once we finally see him when he shreds the clothes off, that's where that's the reason why I was so happy they didn't do the mask, because his face alone is Green Goblin, but once you put that purple hood on him and then the green exterior of the actual original outfit.
There was also a lot of, when the movie first came out, the first Spider-Man film came out, there was a lot of backlash. He looked like a Power Ranger, they said, right? Yeah. Like a Power Ranger villain.
Oh, Weird Al Yankovic literally made a song with him saying, with that Power Ranger mask on.
So him shattering the mask in the film was also, I guess, some sort of symbolism too, that they're shedding that character of the Green Goblin, and it's a new it's a new Goblin almost kind of thing.
Well, I feel like MCU version of this, which I'm calling it because of course you have Doctor Strange and Kevin Feige has a little bit of control in there. My whole situation is I feel like they understood the Goblin and understood that, hey, he was a good Goblin. It's just the costume and the way you guys set him up with that. Let us do it. You know,
that's his new character, the Good Goblin.
The Good Goblin.
But he was definitely a better Goblin in this, and he even looked the part. Like when he got in that
glider and had everything
ripped. Oh,
he was the best villain in the film.
Oh, 100%.
Otto was pretty good.
Well,
Otto has that redemption. Otto, I wouldn't really consider a villain. That first scene on
Octavius is not even a villain in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah.
The suit, the arms take over him, right? And he becomes. But I liked how he came back. He came in and tricked Jamie Foxx into believing that he was going to kill them, and then he spit the thing on him. It tricked me. I was like, "What's happening?"
Yeah, I fell for that too. So
we all did. But believe me, I was the same way and everything.
Yeah, but I knew I had a feeling that he was going to come back to help them.
Yeah.
And by the way, did you guys notice twice they did the Spider-Man meme also on that as well?
No, we looked for it and we didn't see it. We saw it at the end, in the end credits when it has the cartoon Spider-Man. They're on like the corner of a thing and they're all pointing at each other.
Okay, so the first point is actually when they're in the thing and they're actually as Peter Parker before Ned says Peter and they all look at him. They all do start pointing at each other and everything at one point.
Oh yeah, they're like you.
Exactly. And then they do it again when they're on top of the Statue of Liberty and they're all surrounded. They actually do it then too. It's really
they did when he's like Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3.
Exactly. That was the meme. They did the meme. Yep. there was that. There's a lot of stuff that I saw.
Tom Holland stole 2 moves from the Spider-Man game in the film.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Did you see which ones they are? The one where he's webbing him down and he stomps on him, and the other one where when he rotates him with the web over the head and kind of does like a power bomb.
No, but he did the one where he pulled him up and then flipped him over and then shot him down through the balcony.
Yeah. So there were 2. He took 2 moves from that. So
also, you notice that Tony Stark's robot actually knocks over the Death Star, which is a homage to Ned dropping the Death Star, Lego Death Star. That actually happens in there too.
Well, they also put the Darth Sidious or whatever it was.
Yes, it was.
On the table.
Emperor Palpatine.
At the end.
I don't understand the Emperor Palpatine thing.
Okay, I will say I was a little mad to hear Betty Bryant say "Go get him, Tiger," which was a double entendre because the tiger is actually their mascot in the school. But I was a little mad to hear her say it because that's Mary Jane line. I feel like they shouldn't have had her say it.
But there's not going to ever be a Mary Jane here.
I know.
So that's why everything had to be done through nods. If you notice that even in the last movie, a lot of the stuff is just done through nods and not through actual characters who should be in it.
But I wanted to put that out there.
He made a good point. Okay, there's a double good thing in this. So the biggest, most important one is that there is no Norman Osborn in this world, and there is no Oscorp.
Yep.
And then there's another moment where where Andrew and him are talking, and I don't remember who it is, but they say another person that doesn't exist in this world, and also he has no Uncle Ben.
Nope.
Yeah, it's Joe Pesci.
Just Joe Pesci.
Yeah, exactly. But I expected it when Aunt May was looking at him and she did the with great power comes great responsibility. It was just
she worded it differently though.
Yeah. But I mean,
it was good.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying it was bad.
Listen, that's one of the most perfect moments in the movie when they're all on the rooftop and he's like, "My aunt told me with great power and they're like, great comes great responsibility." And I was like, well, listen, for the first when you first meet them until they meet Peter and then they go to the lab, I was literally had my hairs on my arm were standing up the whole time.
Yeah.
I was like, I wasn't excited or shocked. I was so happy that it was happening. It was thank you for paying your respect. And then even at the end, remember we saw it. Thank you to Avi Arad.
Yeah.
Without you, superhero
this would not
exist.
Yeah,
or something.
Well, they did the thing that the Stan Lee does, which I kind of felt like that should be more for Stan Lee. But I was like, okay, I understand why they did that. You know what I mean? But I did.
Thank you, Stan Lee, for stealing my idea, Steve Ditko.
Steve Ditko.
But when Rebecca, the thing is that I loved was with whole again, spoiler alert, I guess we can say it, when Aunt May dies. I don't know why we're doing that anyway, but when Aunt May passes away and everything, it was way more impactful for me than Uncle Ben ever in any of the movies.
No,
you know
what
I mean?
It was the most.
The reason being is
for Gwen Stacy.
Yeah. You're invested into Aunt May. You're invested in Aunt May because you've seen her for 3 movies now. Mm-hmm. So with Amazing Spider-Man and the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, Uncle Ben dies within the first 20 minutes of the film.
Yep.
Right? So with this movie, you've seen Aunt May in Avengers. You've seen Aunt May in all the Spider-Man films. So you're more invested in this character. Exactly, with Happy. So you're invested in this character more than you would have been with Uncle Ben. And it's we all know Uncle Ben dies, and that's a catalyst for Spider-Man becoming blah, blah, blah. We all know that story. So this is a good change of pace. It's a different way to tell that same story without rehashing the same thing, I guess.
I agree, but I disagree that it's the most, because I still think that Gwen Stacy death meant so much more. It was his girlfriend. There was so much buildup to that. She was a much more main character than Marissa Tomei ever was in these movies.
Yes, and the fact that he promised Captain Stacy that he'd protect her always.
And not only was it his fault that she died, he also killed her.
Yes.
Well, I think here's the thing. I think the reason why for me, and this is just me, this is an opinion, the reason why the Aunt May was more personal to me was because, again, I do tend to.
It wasn't about personal.
Well,
no, it's just we're talking about impact more than anything.
Yeah. And see, the thing is, here's the thing: the Gwen Stacy situation is because we know in the comic books, and I know that I hate using the comic books, but I know Aunt May dies in the comic books at one point as well. But she's not it's not a big deal as much as Gwen was in the comic books. You know what I mean? So when you saw Amazing Spider-Man, you're like, oh, she's gonna die eventually. It's gonna happen. the reason the Aunt May thing hit harder is because it's so long down the road in the comic books before she passes away. It's always been the Uncle Ben catalyst. So to use her as a Uncle Ben situation, that's why I think it hit harder for me, because I was expecting with Gwen, and it did hit me still. I'm not going to say it's ever less, but it's just, I think that's because I was expecting it. You know what I mean? And this one came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. You were expecting the Gwen death, but
and that's the reason why I feel this one hit harder, because I was like, oh my God. And there was such a closeness to it that felt more realistic because of how much she took care of him and everything. You know what I mean? And then having the Happy relationship and seeing Happy looking at him. Oh man, it like Happy was like, run, like you could see that he knew what happened and no one else realized it, and they were putting it against him. And it's like, oh, that was gut wrenching. Like it just every moment.
I noticed as the Spider-Man movies, as they keep casting new Spider-Man and new Aunt May just keeps getting younger and younger.
Yeah, I know, right? So that's true. It's 100% is what's been happening. But yeah, I only have one of the.
I didn't mind Sally Field as Aunt May.
No, I agree. I only have one other point, but it's actually not to do with actually Spider-Man at all, and it's something I was excited about. So I'm going to get to that at the end. But I can't think of anything else that was, as far as like Easter egg, spoiler. I mean, the movie itself alone, everything was exciting. There was always little hints, like when they talked about his organic webbing. That was a funny scene. Or when he kept on,
you like make it inside of you. He goes, I never really thought of that.
does it come out anywhere else? And then the fun thing when they looked at Andrew Garfield and go, "You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing." Like that was a little thing.
It's like a nod to the Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I love it. You know what I mean?
It was. Yeah, like I mean, the only, like I said, Campo and I said it in our non-spoiler review as well. We said the fact that this felt there were too many endings. Just when you thought the movie was ending, that it didn't end. It was like Return of the King.
Yeah, it was really boring at the end, and a lot of the movie ran out of material. Like even in the middle, there's scenes they show you that are just to like establish other scenes, and it's like I don't need to see this. I don't need an extra 10 minutes in this movie of Zendaya and Ned, whatever his name is, making jokes that aren't even funny. Like just take them away from my screen. Is this tree real? Is this a superhero?
Yeah. Like we didn't need to also in the final fight scene too. We didn't need to go back to them. Oh, close the gate, close the gate, close the gate. They only need to go back when Lizard went through the portal.
Well, I think this is more of a setup for later. The reason is because we all know, if you're a comic geek, what Ned ends up becoming. You know what I mean? And he even says, you know, I don't want to become that bad guy.
I don't want to be a supervillain to you.
Yeah,
exactly. But now that he doesn't know him, it's there.
Opportunity, exactly. And then Zendaya, here's the thing. I want to say this. There's also the connection with Ned, because when I first saw that scene, I heard someone say, I wonder if they're in a relationship now. And they're not, of course, Zendaya and his character, MJ and Ned. But to see them to like him to go in there and they're all in the same area. My whole point to the whole thing is I feel like the reason they developed that relationship, especially with Ned and MJ, is so later down the road, it's more impactful when he finally does start getting a relation back with them in later movies, if they even do it. So they're keeping it open, and I feel like that's why they made those scenes so like them having a chemistry together.
I'll already tell you what's going to happen. Not maybe in the next one, maybe in the next one. Ned is going to become Hobgoblin.
Yep.
Okay, because he's going to know all this stuff about superheroes that he doesn't understand why he knows it, because. And he's gonna go to school. He's gonna become a dick because he has no Peter to keep him in like straight.
He's gonna go crazy too.
But then again, also Doctor Strange. Remember how Doctor Strange said to him, "So you use magic?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, okay." So I think that's gonna have something to do with that too.
Yeah. So this is my thing. So they're gonna get into like a fight, and Peter is gonna remember Ned. But Ned is not going to remember Peter. So Ned is going to be trying to kill Peter, and Peter's going to be forced to kill his best friend.
I think a little differently on that, but go on.
I think that's what's going to happen. Peter's going to have to deal with the thing. I have to kill this person, but this is my best friend. And Ned is not going to know that. Ned is just going to be trying to kill Spider-Man.
For me, my thinking is because they had the whole magic line with Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is maybe going to try to teach him magic. And then with that magic that he's teaching him, he reverses the forgetful spell. And because he's in a relationship he might be in a relationship with MJ and realize that's Peter Parker, and Peter Parker used to date MJ, it's going to drive him insane. and he's going to try to kill Peter because he doesn't want to give up the girl.
I'm on the same road.
I mean, that's my theory, at least.
No, that's fine. I actually had a different theory, but it's close to the same thing you're saying, JD. I think what's going to happen, because remember, even Dr. Strange said himself, everyone, even myself, will not remember you. And he says, and he makes it as a sacrifice. I think something's going to happen, because if you remember, all the rips happen. I thought we were going to see some characters from maybe other universes come through, but I'm like, that's for the multiverse.
Well, you did
the
see
multiverse of madness. Yeah. But
there was a silhouette of Kraven.
Exactly. But here's my whole point. Is I think what this is I think because of all this, and there's the conflict, I think because of all the stuff that might happen with Scarlet Witch is also going to make a catalyst to where things are going to break and fragment. So what might happen is for example, MJ is not the real like Mary Jane, and I feel like we might get a Gwen Stacy that'll fill in that spot for right now. No, just not. I'm not saying like now. I'm saying like she'll actually die too as well. But my point to the thing is I feel like Ned is going to go crazy because he's going to start getting these memories in his head because of the fractured spell. And because he's so close to magic, his brain starts breaking and he starts going crazy, becoming Hobgoblin. And maybe he sees Green Goblin, you know what I mean? But that gets
he does see the Green Goblin. He'll remember the Green Goblin,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. It'll be fragmented memories. And then maybe, like you said, because again, they show it feels like the Ned and MJ relationship is coming together. So maybe he'll see fragments of Peter and her. And you remember, he kept on interrupting their relationship when the kiss. This is stuff they didn't need to show, but I feel like it's a great catalyst for him to go like start.
It's planting seeds. Yeah, it's definitely planting seeds.
I'll tell you what's not going to happen. There's never going to be Gwen Stacy or Mary Jane.
No,
and they're never going to kill one of them off because they've already done that, and Kevin Feige will not do that again. Because he never, if you can tell by the way this universe is set up, he has not retread one single thing so far.
No, I know.
No Uncle Ben. There's no same villains. There's no Mary Jane. There's no Gwen Stacy.
But you also remember Kevin Feige's probably leaving it open so that way. Also, like you got to remember he does not own it still, so he has to like keep fragments of everything out there. And I feel like that's what he's doing, is saying, hey, in case we have to go back to the well of any reason, so I can separate ourselves, we could that could be used in that way, and you can use it as an excuse. You know what I mean?
In my opinion, this Peter is gonna stay single forever. What he's done now, the realization he had at the end there, where my brother was saying he didn't like that part. I'm indifferent to it, but I understand it. It was him coming to the realization that he doesn't want anyone else to get hurt, and he's going to stay single forever now. He's not going to have any friends.
Well, now that he has nobody left, right?
Yeah. But that's the reason why I feel like there might be a Gwen Stacy relationship, at least even if she doesn't die off. I feel like they may use that. He meets another Gwen Stacy. And
what's your deal with Gwen Stacy?
Well, no,
I'm just like your Deadpool stuff.
Well, no, but the reason I'm bringing up is because...
What if they go with the Gwen Stacy storyline where it's Gwen Stacy's daughter?
But see, but this is also the reason I bring it up. The reason I bring up Gwen Stacy is because then that also means we can get the actual Gwen Stacy as Spider-Girl.
He's gonna end up.
You see what I'm saying?
Are you ready? Who it's gonna be? It's gonna be Felicia.
Well, that can be
true. I think Black Cat has definitely got to make it.
I forgot about Black Cat. Oh my god,
they are gonna Batman and Catwoman the crap out of this because they know
probably
that
right.
sells.
Yeah,
especially watch how big Batman's gonna be when it comes out, and they're gonna copy that exactly.
You're right.
See, I was waiting for everyone to finish before I dropped that.
I totally forgot about Felicia.
Or even Silver Sable. You could make Silver Sable be a younger person, and he.
But that's what I'm saying. Gwen still can be involved.
They're gonna age them up.
Just not have her relationship.
Like you said, that's Kevin Feige going back on what he said. Then he said he's never bringing in Stacy. He's never bringing in Mary Jane.
No, true. Yeah, I guess so.
But I mean, those make sense because they can both add Silver Sable and Black Cat both add a new element.
But then Black Cat can also get a spin-off film too.
Exactly, and Sony wants those characters to be out there. They want to make money off it. It just kind of makes sense in a way, and they're gonna age Peter up. The next Spider-Man movie is gonna be like 3 years. He's gonna be like 3-4 years old.
College, maybe even towards the end of college. He's already
we said, we think that they'll be done college. So what's college? Like 4 years? Because you'll have Tony Revolori. Well, that's what I'm saying.
It'll be end of college, and maybe he's looking for a job. The Flash connection. Maybe he gets a job at the Daily Bugle.
I think that makes sense because there's no way that Venom touched the table at that part, and the next Spider-Man movie is not Venom.
And see, that's another thing too I wanted to bring up is that's a prime example of him distancing himself. It means he would want to go into photography or anything like that, journalism. So that way it gives him a connection to where he can talk to people, investigate, and even maybe find a connection back to MJ. You know what I mean?
Then it's also a matter of keep your friends close and your enemies even closer. With Jameson, he can always keep tabs on Jameson by working as a photographer at the Bugle.
Well, and look what he did in the original Spider-Man movies and in the comic. I mean, not in the comic book, in the animated series. He played Jonah Jameson to make money off him by taking pictures of himself doing things.
Exactly. And be doing the same thing for this. You know what I mean? Because remember, Jameson literally says at the end, will he ever unmask himself? He literally gives the catalyst for him to bring in those pictures and make that money just like he always does.
I think eventually down the road, it's going to end up with him working with Max. What's the laboratory that he goes and works for?
Oh, kind of like in the like they even did.
Not Star Labs is DC.
Star Labs is DC. That's what I keep wanting to say. It's math or something. It's
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the name of it
right now. With what's his name? The guy from the cartoons. He was in the motorized wheelchair there. Smythe there. Smythe. Yeah, Smythe and just Alistair Smythe.
It's the owner of it is Horizon Labs, and the main guy is Max Modell.
Yeah, I could see Max Modell. But I could also see Smythe coming in too if they want to do that.
That would be a good way to go for the 5th movie, right? So like he's been working lowly as a reporter for the next movie
because they got 3 more planned after this.
Scientist. There's 3 more MCU Spider-Man movies coming.
Yep. Okay. And him also appearing in other MCU movies, I think.
His contract, he's guaranteed that he has to do 3 Spider-Man movies.
But aren't they using him as a catalyst as becoming the new Iron Man 2 in the MCU? Like
I don't think so.
No, because they're doing Secret Wars and and Ironheart.
Okay, that's right. They are doing Ironheart.
I don't know her last name.
Riri Williams.
Oh, by the way, and at the end, last end credit scene is the trailer for Doctor Strange.
Okay, finally we can say it. Shumagorath. Oh,
and JD.
That's not Shumagorath. That's Goliath.
Wait, no, look at him. He's got the tentacles in the water.
That's Goliath. That's Goliath.
Are you sure?
He's a water creep. He's a water monster. He came out of the water. It's Goliath.
No, he was in the middle of the street.
Yes, but if you look in the scene where they're in the Sanctum Sanctorum, it's filled with water and you see something moving in the water.
Maybe it's all of them. How do you not know? Yeah, maybe it's all of them. Because
I'm pretty sure it's Goliath.
I think it might be both. Okay, get over it. JD pointed out a great thing. It was America Ferrera from
America Chavez
from Ugly Betty.
Yes.
Miss America.
Miss America was in the trailer.
I saw her. She's right behind Dr. Strange.
In every single scene, she's standing behind him in every single one. I don't know if anybody else noticed that.
But JD, I think you're right, but I think it's both of them actually.
It might be both.
Because if you look in that road, look in the thing. It's literally Shumagorath in the when he.
Wasn't Shumagorath like a pinkish purple? This one was green.
No, he's green. Look at it. He is green in the comics.
I think it's going to be the one.
Either way.
It's going to be Fing Fang Foom. And
that's going to be a Shang-Chi too.
I don't know. It could be all of them because you got Scarlet Witch by him and him. It's going to be strengths. You know what I mean?
I get it. Chinese dragons, but I don't want any more dragons. You did a really bad job with it the last time. Just no more dragons.
That's a Spalcor from the Neverending Story.
Yeah, then I'll take that. But it has to be practical.
Yes. But no, the trailer for Doctor Strange, though, I like how they reintroduced Wanda. They're still talking about the multiverse. They referenced. I'm not talking about what you did in Westview, that kind of this. So they're referencing the show.
But this is going to be like Loki and WandaVision were multiverse for dummies. And I'm going to just put this out there. Anyone who thought those shows were about the multiverse, they are not. They were just to teach you what the multiverse is.
Yeah.
This movie is going to be the first time that we're going to see the real multiverse.
And I'm calling it right now because I've heard a lot of theories out there that Kevin Feige's talking to them. Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman, I think, are going to be in this movie. Just as a cameo.
No, not Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman said he's done completely.
I don't know. Okay,
well, maybe we'll get Michael Fassbender and
which that's what I want actually.
Because James McAvoy has been seen around on like
the Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
He's been seen around the Doctor Strange set.
I just want
but they even referenced that in No Way Home too. Some guy in a wheelchair. They said there was a line. He said some guy in a wheelchair.
Or was that Smythe? Maybe
that could be Smythe. Yeah, but still, They said some guy in a wheelchair.
Because they planted so many seeds in Amazing Spider-Man 2. So
and see, the thing is, like I said, I want them to establish the relationship between Warner and their father, aka Eric, aka Magneto. You know what I mean? And I hope that maybe they'll establish that maybe she was from another world and that she is now a mutant. Because remember, they established on Age of Ultron that she wasn't a mutant. They were using the whole thing from Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. that they were what do you call them, Inhumans.
You said the forbidden word.
Mutants. That's it. It's done.
That's the end of this video because you ruined it.
Why? Why would I ruin it?
It's not going to connect to Magneto. She's not going to be Magneto's daughter.
I want them to, though. Come on. Why would you break that up? House of M, you're breaking up the story. There's so many great stories that's connected between her and her.
Can we say one thing? I'm pretty sure the way that this is pacing out, we're going to get a verse X or whatever it's called. AVX.
Okay. AVX. Yeah,
I want Avengers vs. X-Men for sure. 100%.
I think that's what's going to happen.
To be a part of it.
Because I want her to be a part of I could see the Avengers thinking that they're a threat because they operate off the table, the X-Men.
But they're going to tell. I think they might tell the story as Young Avengers versus Dark Avengers, though.
I remember you said that. That's not a bad idea either, because we know that in the press conference, Haley Steinfeld turned around and said, "What about Young Avengers?" And he smiled in the back, Kevin Feige. So
yeah.
And because the seeds, now you're bringing Miss America. You're going to have
Miss America. You have Ironheart.
Yeah,
you can bring in Iron Lad as a young Kang was Iron Lad.
You got Wanda's two kids.
Speed and Wiccan. You have what's his name who was introduced in Isaiah Bradley's grandson.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And how much do you want to bet we're definitely going to get Miles Morales? Anyways. I'm going to end it here before we run out of time.
Bring in Red Hulk.
Conversation. Oh my God! Right?
Let us know in the comments what you want to see coming from Marvel next, and like and subscribe. Peace out.